6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the True Crime Squad. This is Katie Weaver. I'm here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Kristi Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey, everybody.
How's it going?
It's good. It's good. Oh, I had a massage today, so it's excellent, actually.
Nice. I like your Wicked shirt, too.
Yeah. Oh, yes, like my Wicked shirt. Thank you.
While Mars was home, she made me buy it on Amazon, on Prime, so that we could just watch it as many times as we want, and especially watch it again right before the second one comes out. And
definitely. Yeah. Good idea. I'll probably have to buy it, too. It's a good idea.
And I was honestly surprised watching it the second time, what I didn't see in the first time I watched it.
Really?
It's so wild. Like, maybe it's just the way my brain works, but I'm always shocked if I re-listen to a book or rewatch a movie, the stuff I didn't see, what was I doing? Yeah. Right, Yvonne?
Yeah, no kidding. I noticed details like that after the fact, too, though. I think that's cool. But there was a lot going on in that show, too.
True. Yeah. Well, and I saw it in the theater the first time, so it's not like I was even messing around on my phone or something. I wasn't. I was just watching the movie. But
yeah.
Then I remembered that we had lunch at a Japanese steakhouse right before we saw that movie. And the girls and I split some big flaming drink thing. And, well, maybe there's a reason I don't remember as much as I thought I should.
Maybe. Oh, that's funny.
Well, so every year for Christmas, my father-in-law gives us money. That's just his thing. It's money. And we take that money sometime between Christmas and New Year's, and we go to dinner and a movie. That is our routine. That's our ritual. So that's what we were doing at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's what happened.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
I bet it is. And
so time 2
ADD,
was, and ADD, definitely ADD. Yeah, absolutely. Yvonne, you're killing me with that comment. So we had a big part of our show today is about the new Lori Vallow filing, and there's a picture of Lori on our cover, and Yvonne said, "You better watch out, girls. Lori might see this and accuse you of making her your poster girl." Right?
I mean, she kind of is.
She's already accused Court TV.
Oh my God. I guess we don't run a commercial with her face on it. We have some songs with her face on it.
And I even touched up that picture so it wasn't as shitty as it was. So, I mean, come on, Lori, I'm doing you favors.
Right.
I think I made you look less old and
We're
haggard,
using filters for you and everything.
Yep. Yvonne wants to know if you were wearing your Wicked t-shirt because we were talking about Lori.
Ooh, that is a good point. No, but I'm very glad it's thematic. It really is.
It could have been. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. Well, we've got plenty going on. So, Kristi, I'm going to kick it over to you for some gun crime.
Yes.
Maybe. Sometime.
Maybe.
Would you like me to do it?
You know, when you just scroll way too far? Well, that's what you said. Anyway, excellent news in the world of gun crime, which we always like a whole lot. And that is that there has been another thwarted school shooting.
Wow.
And this is in Houston, Texas. Hang on one second. I clicked on the wrong link also to bring this up. And so now I don't have it. Where is it? Every once in a while. There we go.
It must be the last show of the week.
It is the last show of the week. It is true. Yes. So this was 2 teen girls, a 15-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Wow.
They were plotting a mass casualty event at a school in this community. They believe it was Memorial High School in Houston. The plan was to attack with pipe bombs and guns.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. They were taken into custody on Tuesday. 15 and 16.
What is with the girls lately? This has
I don't
typically
know.
been more of a male problem than a female problem, but we've seen a
Right.
lot of girls
But
lately with this kind of stuff going down.
by focusing on boys, maybe we're not seeing the girls, right?
Maybe so. Yeah.
So, let's see. The FBI received some information earlier this week uh, about a mass casualty event attack that was threatened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they this was some kind of communication between these two 15 and 16-year-old girls. So we don't know who turned that over, if it was a parent or a family member or another friend that was included in the conversation. We're not sure, but somebody
Mm-hmm.
sent this to the FBI like, uh-oh, bad news. This is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And they got right on it, called their partners in the area, and by 2:45 p.m. that day, these girls were in custody.
Wow.
It only took them 30 minutes from the time of the tip to take them into custody, it sounds like. So that is
I mean,
incredible.
doesn't it seem
Yay.
like they're taking this stuff more seriously?
Well, friggin' finally,
Well,
right?
yeah,
Like,
right, for sure.
but yes, it definitely does. Like, how many stories have we heard like this where the shooting did happen and that tip was made and no one acted on it?
Yeah.
Many times.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, they jumped on it very quickly. And, I'm sure saved the lives of I don't even know how many people.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do we know
So
if these girls had the means or the knowledge to make pipe bombs?
they have not released that information as of yet. They're
Mm-hmm.
still investigating kind of to what extent this threat was real and
Right.
to what
And
extent,
access to
they had those
weapons?
things.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, they have not said,
Mm-hmm. They maybe
but
won't, where
uh,
these are
maybe
minors.
they
We might
won't.
not ever know that part of the story.
Right. Right. So they just kind of over and over again say things like, we were able to take troubling information we received, conduct a rapid investigation, turn our results over to our trusted local law enforcement partners, and ultimately save lives of innocent students. It's that kind of stuff over and over again. So we really don't know
Mm-hmm.
what we know. And the FBI office in Houston said that this is what the FBI is for. This is why the FBI exists, is to get tips like this and act on them quickly in order to prevent something terrible. And I'm like, yeah, we know, but where the hell have you been for 20
Right.
years?
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome. This is wonderful. So glad. Still very curious about why it took this long to get to this point. But that is some
Yeah.
fast work. Yeah, agreed, Jennifer. And this is the way that you stop these. I mean, think about how many more of them could have been stopped had
Yeah.
this information been acted on so quickly.
Yeah.
So, woohoo! Go team FBI and local people, local PD in Houston, because they stopped whatever this was going to be, and this is the second
Right.
one this week that we have
Yeah.
seen.
That we've seen.
Absolutely fantastic news.
And those are just ones that have hit the news for whatever reason.
Right. I'm sure
Hopefully
there are many
there's
more.
more. Yeah. But my gosh. Wow. Well,
The system
good.
is finally catching up, I think,
And hopefully
with
these kids and their families get some help to figure out
yeah,
why their daughters want to blow up their school. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and definitely did they have weapons? Did they have the ability to build pipe bombs? I mean, how close to
What
carrying
parts
out
of the
this
internet
event
have they
were
been
they?
hanging out on? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
Hmm.
it's excellent news. It always makes me happy when we get to report something that didn't happen rather than something that did.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with that, Katie, I am going to kick the mic back to you for our main case.
Okay. Well, there's been a new filing in the Arizona against Lori Vallow matter. This is, of course, the upcoming trial that's supposed to start at the end of March, first part of April, regarding the murder of her husband, Charles Vallow. And for once, it's not her filing, it is the state. So the state
Wow.
says that they do not want any statements that Tylee Ryan made surrounding the murder of Charles Vallow to be admissible in court.
That's interesting. What is their
I find it interesting too.
What's their justification for that? That seems odd.
The hearsay rule.
Oh,
So it's not long, so I'm going to read it to you. The state of Arizona, through undersigned counsel, hereby moves this court to preclude the defendant from attempting to admit any statements made by Tylee Ryan regarding or relating to the shooting of Charles Vallow. Tylee Ryan was allegedly inside the residence prior to the shooting and later returned to the address with her mother, Lori N. Vallow, now known as Lori N. Daybell. The defendant was inside Charles Vallow's rental car with the defendant for approximately an hour after the shooting and before police were able to interview. Tylee Ryan and Lori Vallow drove away from the residence at 7:49 and returned to the house at 8:48. The Chandler Police Department interacted with Tylee Ryan at the scene during the drive to the police station, and they interviewed her at the Chandler Police Department. So here's what they're saying. Rule 801C, Arizona Rules of Evidence state, C, hearsay. Hearsay means a statement that, 1, the declarant does not make while testifying at the current trial or hearing, and 2, a party offers in evidence to provide or to prove the truth of the matter asserted in the statement. Any statements by Tylee Ryan about the incident are out-of-court statements that would be offered for the truth of the matter asserted. Any statements made by Tylee Ryan to the defendant, the Chandler Police Department, or any other person about the shooting of Charles Vallow on July 11th, 2019 are hearsay and therefore inadmissible at trial.
I mean, they can't, she can't be impeached.
Right.
Because she's dead.
Yep.
Wow.
So
that feels gross.
She did talk to the police at the scene and not in the car on the way. What I'm going to show you is the interview at the police department. It's about 16 minutes long. Some of you have seen this before. Some of you maybe have not. Out of all of the respect to Tylee, because Tylee was heavily under the influence of the person who would eventually murder her.
Right.
But I think it is definitely relevant to watch this today and just consider what she did see or didn't, what Lori may have just planted in her head, what Lori may have convinced her of, and that's it. So let's take a look.
Hi. Hi. So you have to spell your name because we're all taking guesses on how to spell it. We're not sure.
Tylee.
Okay, I was right. And what's your last name?
Ryan, Ryan.
And your birthday? And then, do you have a phone?
Yeah.
What's your phone number? Okay. So I know this is going to kind of sound like kind of a silly question because it's super broad. But can you basically tell me what happened today? And you can start at whatever place makes sense for you to kind of start and explain. I'll probably kind of ask you questions as we go a little bit.
Okay. So I woke up probably around like 7:50, I want to say, because I heard yelling from like right outside my door. I don't even know where, but I immediately like jumped up, and I have a baseball bat because when I was living at my uncle's by myself, I just wanted something to like feel safer, and I'm not old enough to get like pepper spray or anything, so I was like, okay, I'll get a baseball bat. So I have that.
So your bedroom, you said right outside your bedroom door, and I didn't go in the house, so I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage. So what is your bedroom door open to?
My bedroom door open, so the room that my uncle was staying in, the room that's kind of like the guest room, if my room's right here, that's right there.
Okay.
And then my little brother's room, and then kitchen's kind of back here, so it's like a little hallway, and then right here is kind of where everything happened.
Okay.
Like the big, you walk in, and
Like big great room, kind of living room?
Yeah, right now it just has mirrors up because my mom wanted a dance room.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of unconventional, but...
Hey, whatever makes you happy. It's your guys' house, so...
Right. So, yeah, I immediately just jumped up and I grabbed my baseball bat and I opened the door and it was my stepdad, you know, outside the doorway, and then my uncle kind of in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him. And he was just screaming at both of them, like, I don't even know what he was saying, because honestly I was just too, like wired, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I told him to take a few steps back. I was like, you're too close, you need to step back. And he was like, don't tell me what to do. And I just kind of just stood there, and then my uncle kind of moved out of the way, and then my mom kind of went past him and into, like, the big room.
Okay.
Where everything happened, and so I walked with them, and then I...
So they were more in the hallway?
Yeah, they were at, like, the end of the hallway,
okay.
Basically. And so my mom walked all the way around, and he kind of followed them, and I just kind of stood. My uncle was, like, right here, and then my stepdad right here, and then me and my mom were kind of right here. And I didn't do anything with the baseball bat, I kind of just held it there, and he was getting really close to my mom, so I kind of stuck it out, like, between them, and they were both just yelling, and he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're gonna go to jail. And I just kind of stood there with the baseball bat, and I didn't really say anything.
When you said they were yelling, who was yelling?
It was mostly my stepdad.
Okay.
Well, he was really the only one, like, yelling. Mm-hmm. My mom was kind of, like, responding, mm-hmm. but I honestly couldn't tell you what they were saying. It was kind of just, like, all jumbled up in my head. And so I just kind of stuck the baseball bat out there, and then he just grabbed it and tried to take it. So I held on to the end, and then eventually I fell, and he kind of took it into his hands like he was going to do something with it, and that's when...
So when you fell, he ended up with the bat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I fell to the ground, and then my uncle kind of, like, I saw him take a step back, so my uncle, I think, grabbed him and kind of took him back so he couldn't, like, do anything.
You saw your stepdad, like, take a step back?
Take a step back, because he was really close
to
begin with, and then and so my mom said to go with JJ, and so I ran out the door, and then I kind of just stood there with my little brother. He was in the front seat of the car, and so I just kind of opened the door and just stood there, and, like, he was trying to get out, and I was like, no, we have to stay. We have to stay in. And I was like, oh, like, I told him, like, do you want to go in the Jeep? And then he was like, no, and then I realized that my car was blocked in, so I couldn't anyways. I was like, okay, like, just stay here. And then eventually my mom came out, mm-hmm. and then we left from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened inside of the house? Has your mom kind of explained it all to you?
I just kind of asked her, like, because I heard a noise, mm-hmm. which I know what it was now, but it sounded like, because I knew that the baseball bat was in there, it sounded like someone, like, took it and hit it really hard against the floor.
Okay.
And so I was kind of like, Al's okay, right, because that's my uncle, mm-hmm. so I just wanted to make sure that, like, my stepdad didn't do anything to my uncle and stuff, and so she was like, no, like, Al's fine, like, we're just going to take JJ to school, and I was like, okay, so I just got in the car, and then we went to Burger King because my little brother wanted breakfast, mm-hmm. which was chicken fries mm-hmm. for some reason.
Okay, I do dinner for breakfast all the time.
Breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast.
Mm-hmm. So, to kind of back up a little bit, so you had talked about your stepdad, when you put the bat out, your stepdad mm-hmm. was coming towards your mom. Mm-hmm. Can you describe to me a little bit better kind of what was going on there? Like, is there a reason you put the bat up?
Yeah, he was walking towards my mom, and I just didn't want him to do anything, so I kind of just stuck out the bat. Like, my mom was right beside me, and he was right there, so it wasn't, like, between them.
Okay.
It was kind of just, like, I just stuck it out to be, like, keep your distance, kind of.
When you say you didn't want him to do anything, what did you think he was going to do?
Hit her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, for the most part, been pretty, like, mundane, but there have been a few like violent times with him when I was really scared that he was gonna hit me or hit my mom, like just because everything was kind of crazy. Me and him have always kind of not gotten along, like just since I was little, and so there have been a few times that we've gotten in fights and stuff like that, and so so I'm just kind of always scared of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that happened, and he grabbed the bat from you. So kind of tell me that again real quick.
So I kind of stuck it out, and this is when he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to jail, and I didn't say anything because I'm like, okay. And so I'm holding it by like the end of the bat, like the place where you hold it, and so he kind of took it, and I kind of like lunged forward and kind of lost like my footing, and so my mom was like, just let go, and so I kind of like slipped and I fell, kind of on like my side.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from that, my mom said to go to the car, so I just got up and ran out the door.
Okay. Did you see when you fell towards your side? Did you see what he did with the bat?
No, I wasn't really looking in that direction because from where I fell, the door was kind of more in my line of vision because I fell looking this way and the door was like right there, so I didn't look back.
So he was he was at a different line of sight than what you were looking at.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at some point you saw him kind of take a step back, and from what you're saying, and tell me if I'm wrong or not, you didn't necessarily see your uncle pulling back, but it seems like that maybe...
It seems like he wouldn't have taken a step back on his own, so it's more of an assumption than anything. I didn't see him physically take him back.
And does that make sense based on where your uncle was at that time?
Yeah, he was behind him, because he wasn't on this side with me and my mom, so he was behind him. Okay. Because that's kind of just the order where everyone walked out.
And when that happened and then your mom told you to go, did you see what happened with your stepdad and uncle?
No.
Okay. And then once you went outside with your brother, you never came back inside?
Oh, I went to go get my mom's purse from inside so that we could have, like, her wallet and everything, but this was all happening, like I said, like, in the bigger room right here, and so I went through the garage door, and so the garage door is right here, and then there's like a little hallway, and then this is kind of where everything is, and then this is my mom's room. Okay. So when I went in, I kind of like just tuned everything out, ran to my mom's closet, ran back, so I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything.
When did you go back in and get her purse?
After my mom came out.
Okay. So after you heard that loud noise?
Yeah.
Okay, and when you heard the loud noise, was your mom outside or inside?
I'm trying to think. I think she was inside when it happened and the door opened like immediately after.
So very quickly after the door opened?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a long period of time because I remember not like thinking about it for that long, and if my mom hadn't come out immediately, I would have, been thinking about it for a lot longer than I had.
So, obviously I don't know, like, your mom and stepdad and uncle, like you do, I don't. So, can you tell me kind of where the three of them were at, kind of emotionally, and how they were behaving when all this was happening?
When all this was happening, or like before?
When all this was happening. So like when you came out of your room and he took the bat from you and...
Yeah, so my stepdad was like, he was like, I don't even know how to explain it. He honestly just looked like kind of a crazy person. Okay. Like screaming and like his face was beet red. He just looked like really mad. I remember when he took the bat from me, I saw his face for like a split second, and I honestly, like, it didn't even look like him. He just looked like pure, like, rage. Like, he was just seeing red. So, I haven't really seen him, like, all the way like that before. That's, like, the craziest I've ever seen him. And then my uncle was kind of calm. like not super calm. Obviously, it was like a stressful situation, but he's like, I don't know, he was kind of just standing there in the doorway, kind of just being protective of my mom, but he wasn't yelling or really saying anything.
Okay.
And my mom was just he was yelling and my mom was kind of just like talking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But you don't remember, if you do, like what your mom was saying at all, or what he was mad about?
No, not really. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Honestly, like
we're talking about something that probably happened over 2 seconds of time. So.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like 2 seconds and 40 minutes at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember what they were really saying. I just kind of heard yelling over everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I kind of just do that whenever things are like really loud. I kind of just like tune what people are saying out, because I don't know, just yelling isn't fun, obviously, for a kid to hear. And with my biological dad, I always heard him like screaming and stuff, so I kind of just learned how to like tune it out.
So when you woke up to yelling, and you had said you weren't sure what they were actually saying, did you know who was yelling when you heard the yelling?
Yeah, I knew it was my stepdad. Well, at first I kind of didn't. Like, when you first wake up, you're kind of disoriented. And then I remembered that my stepdad was, like, coming in to take my little brother to school today, so I immediately, like, knew it was him. Mm-hmm. And then my uncle I knew was staying, so I knew that was him. And then my mom, obviously, I knew that was her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, so you stepped out of your room and you took the bat with you. Is there a reason why you took the bat with you?
Honestly, I think that was kind of just like first instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously I didn't ever hit him with the bat or anything like that. It was kind of just for like security, I guess, to know that I had it. I didn't do anything with it. In hindsight, I probably just shouldn't have brought it out at all because it caused more trouble. But it was kind of just first instinct, and it was right by my bed. So I kind of just like jumped up and grabbed it.
So I'm trying not to put like words in your mouth and stuff.
You're good.
So was there something in particular that you were concerned about that you would have taken the bat with you?
Only if he had been violent towards like me or my mom.
I'm assuming you're talking about your stepdad?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take the bat and like do something with it. It was kind of just like, I need something in my hands to like feel safer.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So my kind of second dumb question is, and I don't know that there necessarily is, but I always kind of want to make sure, is there anything that, we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about, or anything that you think is important or anything that I should know? Because it's harder for you because you were there, and so I'm asking questions about something I didn't even see. So I just want to make sure, like, I didn't miss something or anything that you think I should know about.
That was pretty much it.
Okay. And if you think of something, in 5 minutes and tomorrow or whatever else, we can always talk again. It's totally fine. So, I talked to your mom about, we have some victim services people that work here. They're not cops. They're really good at what they do. So I really want your mom to talk to them, because I think it would be good that your mom has, and you guys have maybe some extra support if you need anything go moving on. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to check in with your mom real quick, and if she's good to go, then I'm going to introduce one of them to you guys. That way you guys can talk before I take you guys back. Okay? Sound fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me at all?
No,
okay. If you do, let me know, okay? Okay.
Whew.
Yeah. It's sobering. It's really sobering.
is.
And as I was watching this for the second time today, the thoughts keep occurring to me that, Lori, you should not get to benefit in any way from the child that you murdered. You shouldn't.
Agreed. No.
You shouldn't. A lot of holes to the story, obviously, and when the detective didn't, just let her speak freely and asked her questions, there were things that came up that she couldn't answer or needed to pause and stall for to come up with an answer. Uh, and that's basically what the state is saying. Lori had full access to her for an hour before they ever spoke to the police the first time.
Right.
Whatever she has to say has been tarnished by that. And that's, I think it's very obvious when you watch that interview that that's the case.
Well, sometimes she speaks like a kid and sometimes she speaks like an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a difference in her language. Also, she
Mm-hmm.
heard one loud noise.
Right.
One. She
One.
said a noise. And I heard the detective confirmed it and
Yes.
didn't say, were there any others? Just,
Mm-mm.
so you heard that noise. Like it
Mhm.
was one.
Right. But Charles was shot twice.
Twice.
Mm-hmm.
So did they drive away and Charles wasn't dead and he shot him again to make
Or
sure
did
he
she
was dead?
never hear anything? And
Right.
that's just what she was coached to say. It's
To
hard to
say.
pick apart what she says when that literally all could have been Lori's story.
Right.
You
It
know,
could have.
there's this part of me that's trying to justify and rationalize and pick apart her statement and then realizing, there's a good chance that none of that actually happened,
It's very
which is
possible.
very likely.
It is like, why, if she heard yelling in the hallway in her own house, why would she come to the door with a baseball bat?
It's a
You know what I
super good
mean?
question. Yeah.
That doesn't track for me, that a kid would just be hearing their own family members yelling at each other, and for that reason she opens the door with the bat.
I know.
I don't think so.
Or if she did, my God, what all has Tylee seen? What all has this
Right.
kid
Right.
experienced in her life? No one's saying that Charles was perfect. We don't know.
Right.
We are saying that he didn't deserve to be murdered,
Right.
but we don't know what kind of violence could have been going on in her world. The fact that she said she had a bed or a bat by her bed because she was living with her uncle and she was home alone a lot and needed that for protection, I think is very sad and scary.
It is. If it's true. If it's
If
even
it's true.
true.
If it's even true.
Because all the people that could verify that story are dead except for Lori. And of course we can't
Mm-hmm.
believe a damn thing she says. But that
Right.
part seemed weird to me. Why would
Except for
you?
maybe Colby, but he might not have known either. He was pretty alienated from these guys.
Yeah, I think Lori did her best to keep him out of whatever was going on. But you hear people in your own house fighting with each other, you're not going to open your bedroom door with a baseball bat. You're not.
Right. That just seems like a very strange choice, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
Also, we know that from things that Tylee's friends have said that there were times when Tylee would, her mom would sweep her away to a hotel for a couple of nights and tell her it's because Charles was really, really mad at her and she was worried that he was going to do something to her. So she needed to keep her away from him for a while.
Right.
She was always interfering in Charles and
Yep.
Tylee's relationship. I feel like
Yeah.
Lori had to be the victim no matter what. Obviously, Tylee was very conditioned to saving Lori, just like everybody else in her life was. Lori was always the victim. She was always the one that needed to be protected. She was always the one that everybody needed to circle around and be the protectors for.
Right.
And Tylee was one of them.
Totally. Totally. And yeah, that game with her not being close to Charles, she'd been playing that for years. She'd been playing that same game with Kay and Larry
Yeah.
because Tylee was usually gone when Kay and Larry came to visit JJ.
Yeah.
Like Lori did
Mhm.
everything possible to keep Tylee as her own
Yes,
and
she
not
did.
let her build relationships with these other parts of her family.
Mhm.
It's really
Including
fucked
fight
up.
her father tooth and nail for
Oh yeah,
any kind
that
of custody, visitation, anything.
right.
Uh, and Kristi, thanks for bringing that up because this is, I think, probably one of the most staggering parts of this interview to me. Charles has been dead by the time this interview happened for maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
And yes, she did know at that point that he was deceased. There wasn't an ounce of emotion. An ounce.
nothing.
This was an
Yeah.
extremely traumatic event, and there wasn't an ounce of emotion. I mean, what do you make of that?
She looks as she's as flat
Hmm.
as Lori and
Alex,
Charles are. Just completely flat.
Lori and
If
Alex, yeah,
Lori and Alex, but then later Lori and Chad also.
yes,
All of
yeah,
them so weirdly emotionless.
hmm,
But I wonder
yeah,
if for Tylee, she'd had so much trauma and so much bullshit in her life that it just like this wasn't even a surprise.
right. Like there, she obviously could compartmentalize her stress and her grief and her fear very adequately because
And
somebody who
maybe
had
her
just
relationship
been
was,
through this,
yeah. You'd think even if this was someone that you didn't like, this is still your stepdad. You'd think you'd still be at least shaken up by it. But she wasn't shaken up at
right?
all.
No, she did
But
not show any trauma. And maybe she was showing trauma. Maybe her response was her response to trauma. But I think
well,
her response is wild.
her
But Lori's
response
was
reminds me of
too.
other people who have been traumatized so much that they just don't even have a reaction left.
Hmm.
It felt more like that to me than anything.
I think that's a good take. Yeah.
Wild, just
Yep.
wild. Because you would think most teenagers would be hysterical at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And scared
But
and
how
freaked
much did
out.
she know at that point that they thought that Charles was going to die, remember? And that he had a demon in him and that he was probably not. How much had she been prepped
That's a
for
good
this
question.
with that bullshit that we know they were saying to,
Yeah.
lots of other people?
Yeah.
Maybe she was like, yep, we knew this was coming. I remember.
Hmm.
Just seems crazy, but I think that's possible.
Yeah. 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 No concern that anyone might be getting in trouble. Right. Well, she was playing
Except for
her role.
herself. She was making it very clear with the bat
Yes.
that she wasn't trying to hit Charles with the bat.
Hmm.
When she was trying to get it back, she wasn't trying to hurt him. She was worried she was in trouble.
Hmm.
And, what kind of coaching was there around that? Well, you better really explain that,
Right.
so that they know that you weren't hurting Charles. You don't want to be in trouble. Can you imagine how easily you could manipulate a child by telling them that they might be the one in trouble? And so they need to tell this story so that they don't get in trouble. I
Yeah.
think there was some of that because she repeated that she was not trying to hurt Charles several times.
Several times. That's true. That's true. She was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good point, Bethy. Maybe she was told that she also could be accused of murder.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
you were
in
fighting
trying
with
to
him too.
protect her
You could
mother,
just
she
hear
was
it.
also protecting herself. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Not
I
that
think it
Tylee did
was.
anything, but,
No,
the
no, she
manipulation
was.
here ran real hot. So,
Oh, so bad. She was manipulated her entire life.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with the state on this. So I don't know. I guess the next question is, what do you think the judge is going to say? And do you think
Well,
that Lori's going to fight this one?
I would think that Lori will fight this one because this backs up her side. This backs up her narrative.
Hmm.
So I think she will fight and try to keep it.
Hmm. Except for that
Uh,
pesky
you know,
detail about the one sound.
the one sound, right, right. There is
Yeah.
that, but other than that, it backs up Lori's story. So I would think she wants it in.
Hmm.
Um, Lori would try to explain that away, but I think that's where the problem is going to come in for the judge is this there's no way to impeach this witness. If this is because like they said, this is
Hmm.
given for the facts of the timeline. We can't take what she said as fact
Hmm.
because even though it was being told to a police officer, it's still hearsay. I bet it doesn't get in. That's my bet.
Hmm. I think so too. I suspect that's correct. I
But
think
I bet
there
she's
will
going
be
to
some
try to get
fireworks
it
over
in.
this with her. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I would
She's
imagine though that
probably
her
going to
legal
have
team is
the
probably not
gall.
that surprised, or her
Say that again.
advisors. That her advisors won't be all
Oh,
that surprised that this filing is coming. Yeah.
right. Can you imagine, though, if she has the gall to argue that it is not her fault? that Tylee isn't there to testify. Because you know what? She can't argue that, can she?
Right. Well, she still will, but yes.
She may try, but can you imagine if she actually says that it is not her fault, that her daughter that she was convicted of first-degree murder for is not there to testify?
Mm-hmm.
Because see, that's the damning part of it right there.
Mm-hmm.
It is 100% her fault that Tylee isn't there to testify, and that's already been settled by a court.
Yeah.
Right,
That's a
Jennifer. It's
great
evidence that
point.
can't be cross-examined.
Right.
And she is
makes a great point. If the jury isn't going to know about the deaths of the kids, how would that be allowed? Great point.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Right.
404B is in effect and they can't talk about past misdeeds or future misdeeds when it comes to this case,
Right.
how could we
Right.
possibly show something in court without just having that human person being there to just tell their
Having it
story and be
explained.
cross-examined? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. She's not going to get it in. I don't think she
I
will.
don't think so. Yeah, I agree. So there you go. Yeah. So forever and always, all the respect to those who mourn Tylee. And Tylee,
Yes.
you didn't deserve any of this.
No,
You
you sure
deserve to
didn't.
just be a kid.
And whatever you said in that hearing was what your mom wanted you to say, and you know it.
Mhm.
And that's okay.
Yep.
Nobody's mad about that.
Nope. Great point. Paula said maybe she'll try to say that Tylee pulled the trigger and Alex confessed to protect her. Right. I mean, she could say anything at this point. Not that the
I
jury
mean,
will
they can
probably believe
imply
it, but
that. Right.
yeah.
They could imply that as part of the defense, sure.
Mhm.
But
There's
pretty
absolutely no
tough to
evidence
ask
to
either
back
of
it
those
up.
two people
Yeah.
because they're both dead.
You mean like
Jesus.
accidents were had and suicides happened and overdoses happened and
Yeah.
yeah. The
Right,
defense
Christine,
is
she
going to
would
be
have the
super
balls to do it.
interesting. Yeah, she
Yeah,
would.
it is.
Oh,
But
she
there's
has
no
no
way
shame.
this is going to get in front of that jury because
No,
that
I don't think
argument will be
so.
without the jury. And yeah, it won't get in front of
Mhm.
a jury. There's no way in hell.
I hope they argue this out in court because I can't wait to see it.
I know. I want to hear her dumbass try to explain why she should allow this in when the person in the interview is dead
Yeah,
and that she's convicted of that person's murder.
yeah. This is a touchy one. It's a super
It
touchy one.
is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah. Yes, she did tell Colby that Tylee killed JJ. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that disgusting?
Mm-hmm.
What a...
Yep.
Ugh. Such a terrible person. My God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it, as we do with all things Vallow. In the meantime, though, I'm going to kick it back to you. We're going to change gears and report a little WTF.
Oh, boy, aren't we? Well, friends, there is some real WTF news going on in Alabama.
Mm.
So this is happening in Huntsville County in Alabama. Or is it city of Huntsville? I think it is actually, because this is a city police department. An Alabama grand jury has recommended that a city's police department be immediately abolished. Abolished.
That is
Like,
crazy.
not just we're going to fire some people and start over and make this better. No, they think that the city should abolish their police department
Yeah.
for a rampant culture of corruption. So this grand jury indictment just came down yesterday. There are 5 police officers and the wife of one of the officers indicted. So 6 people. This is them. This is Coleman County. Sorry. Here we go. So the 5 men are all officers, and then the woman is the wife of an officer. So let me tell you what all has been up in this police department, because it's terrible. Let's see. So we don't know a ton of details on this case. It's been pretty hushed. Of course, this was a grand jury, so there are things that are held back. But we know that there's been an investigation into this police department that covered the department's evidence room and the death of a dispatcher 49-year-old Christopher Michael Willingham, who was found dead from a toxic drug combination at work. So the Coleman County Grand Jury found that the Hanceville Police Department has failed to account for, preserve, and maintain evidence, and in doing so failed crime victims and the public at large, making evidence unusable. So apparently there was quite an open door policy in this evidence room, and it was in fact not being secured. Also, they also found that Willingham's death was the direct result of the Hanceville Police Department's negligence, lack of procedure, general incompetence, and disregard for human life. This is for the dispatcher. Yeah. Apparently, they haven't actually been charged like with murder in his death, but he died of an overdose of a toxic combination of drugs. Apparently, they were giving unfettered access to the evidence room.
Oh.
And that
all the drugs that had been seized within?
Yeah. And that is actually part of the finding in regards to the dispatcher's death.
Wow.
Think about what's held in evidence rooms.
Right.
But the evidence room just wasn't secured. So people were in and out of it all the time. Therefore, all of the evidence that's in that room is unusable because you have no idea who's been in and out screwing around with it.
So there's no secure chain of command or chain of custody of evidence or anything.
Yeah, and log of who's in there and what evidence they're having access to, all that stuff. No, they're just wandering in and out, just free reign.
Oh dear.
Apparently, Willingham, the dispatcher, was given access. Why would a dispatcher need access to an evidence room?
Ever.
He had access to that room on his last day at work, and he died at work. He died on August 23rd of 2024 due to the combined toxic effects of fentanyl, gabapentin, diazepam, amphetamine, carisoprodol, and methocarbamol.
Good Lord.
Yeah, the manner of death has been deemed an accident. But where did Willingham get access to those drugs?
Right.
Holy
cow.
When one of the questions
and how many times had this happened before?
Right. One of the questions asked was if he had been exposed to fentanyl because it was not being kept in a secure place. What they've said is nothing was secure about the evidence room, and when Mr. Willingham was discovered, there was evidence in his office. So he may, in fact, have been, taking drugs that had been seized. But there's more. It's crazy, but there's more to it than that, which you'd think that would be enough, right?
Yeah.
There is an audit going on of the evidence room currently. So, of the people charged, the Hanceville Police Chief, Jason Shane Marlin, was charged with failure to report an ethics crime and tampering with physical evidence. Officers Cody Ann Kelso and Jason Scott Wilbanks are charged with computer tampering, tampering with physical evidence, conspiracy to commit a controlled substance crime, and use of an official position for personal gain. Officer William Andrew Shelnut was charged with tampering with physical evidence. And Eric Michael Kelso, who was a reserve officer, and his wife, Donna Reed Kelso, were charged with unlawful distribution of a controlled substance and conspiracy to unlawfully distribute a controlled substance. So the distribution charges are not based on the distribution of anything within the evidence room, because that was my first question. And they are accused of distributing certain drugs to other individuals, including some of these other defendants. So they were the dealers for these folks. all of these charges are felonies,
Mm.
except for evidence tampering with physical evidence, which is a misdemeanor, which blows me away that that's a misdemeanor.
Mhm.
So that charge alleges that they mishandled or removed evidence from the evidence room. We don't know what the employment status of these guys is yet. So this is the recommendation that was made by the grand jury, but this is actually a decision made by the city about what they're going to do about their police department.
Mhm.
So this is a town of 3,000 people. Like, that was the whole police force. This is Huntsville, Alabama.
Wow.
The sheriff's office is preparing to take over policing in the area. They haven't actually been asked to do that by the city yet, but they're expecting that that is coming, at least for now. Huntsville Mayor Jim Sawyer and the city said he and the city council are fully cooperating with the investigation. And he also says that the council will carefully consider all recommendations and act swiftly and decisively to address the problem within the police department. So yeah, they need to hurry it up because they don't actually have a police department right now because they're all arrested.
Wow.
Can you believe that? So there
It's
was
so
the evidence
problematic
stuff
in
going
so
on.
many ways.
Right. The drug trafficking going on somehow
Yeah.
here. All the evidence stuff and how many cases did they fiddle with? And then what happened to that dispatcher? Which, why did they have access to the evidence room in the first place? And were they just taking all the drugs in the evidence room and killed themselves? I mean, what the hell happened?
But if this
Or,
level of corruption was happening, what else was happening?
right? Why was any of this being allowed in the first place?
Right. So what
Yeah.
else was happening with this police force? Like, I would love to hear from the public, like what their experiences with this police force has been.
Right? Was any crime getting solved?
Or represented correctly, or what was happening when they got called out on domestic violence calls to their pal's house, or what was happening when there were
Yeah.
threats or there were restraining orders or people being pulled over that were pals of theirs. I mean, I just keep thinking about that, pals. I don't know why I keep saying that word, but I like, who were they protecting in this county? Who were they
Right.
taking great care of? Like, this seems to
Were
me
they
like a mosh
fixing
pit of
cases?
bullshit. Right. Were they fixing cases? Yeah.
How far back does this go?
Well, the
Like, I mean,
prosecution is basically screwed right now
oh,
because everything in the
yeah,
evidence room that they need to access for current cases is probably not
tainted.
going to be admissible. Oh my
No.
gosh.
And how far back? How many cases that they have already tried
Yeah,
that actually had tampered with evidence? Like,
right. Oh yeah, this is going to be a nightmare for years to come.
it is. It is. Thank God it's a little town of 3,000 people, so it's not that many crimes, probably. But
Yeah.
still, I mean, are there people in jail or prison for something they didn't commit because they got set up by
hmm
these idiots?
Well, and how many people aren't in jail or prison that should be because of
Right.
these idiots? Because either they didn't bother to do their jobs or because they were taking care of their own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Holy moly. Well, that is something.
Yeah. Right. And Christine, nobody knew this was happening. I think not. Right.
Agree. Probably
How
everyone in
long
that
had there
town
been
knew.
some major bullshit going on that people were like, I
hmm
don't know if that should be happening?
Everybody in that town knew that you couldn't trust the
Hmm.
police. You know they did.
Well, I mean, who brought this case against them? I mean, obviously the prosecutor's office did, but where did that come from?
Right.
Like somebody said, who polices the police? Right.
hmm
When the
that's
police
a
are the
problem.
literal bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see what
Also,
happens.
for good police departments, this kind of stuff super
Yeah.
sucks for them because it just
Right.
continues to lower public trust in police because these things are happening. Yeah.
Right. Right. They probably need to turn everything over to the county for a while, like years.
Yeah.
before they try to bring a police force back in to this
Oh,
situation. Who's
definitely.
going to trust them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. They have to completely reformat. Yep.
Definitely do. Yeah, just really gross. Like, oh my God.
Really disappointing.
But, and let's see, who said it? Yvonne said, and Yvonne, you're from, can't remember. Anyway, not the US. Yvonne said, no wonder they've got the saying, who polices the police? Yes. And then somebody else said, somebody said something about having a lot of oversight. Oh, in
yeah,
Ireland.
Yeah.
Jennifer said, in Ireland, we have so many oversight bodies. This is the problem with little tiny police municipalities in the United States. They really don't. They have the state police, but they don't actually literally answer to the state police. They're separate municipalities, and like, yeah, it is not good. And if you get these little tiny departments where there's just a handful of people, sometimes they're completely wonderful, and sometimes they're like this.
For sure.
Somebody said that this happened in Texas to a police force, and that it also happened to a school district.
Oh.
Oof, man.
Yikes.
That's awful.
But corruption needs to be ferreted out wherever it's at and cleaned up, because this is exactly the kind of stuff that goes on. Yeah. I'll be really interested to see if as this proceeds, if more charges come.
Right? Like, it makes you wonder. Because what is the story there? What is the story with the death?
But also, how do you feel about the only dispatcher there being high as a fucking kite on all of this stuff?
And dying of an overdose at work.
Dying as of an overdose at work. This is the person who takes the life or death calls. This is the person who holds your destiny in their hands when you're having an emergency and you need help.
Right.
And they're getting this muffed up at work. And that seems to be maybe known, and accepted and acceptable in this joint. That is scary to me. Dispatchers do a huge service to the public.
Yeah.
And I have to be deeply trusted to be able to do that service. And boy, in this instance, not at all. That's scary to me.
It is. I agree. Well, Paula says just look at Robin Dunn in Jefferson County, just the county between Katie and I, convicting people so he could sell them for drugs, so he could sell them in jail. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a prosecutor. He is now going to prison himself for selling fentanyl.
Yep.
It was known for a really long time that Rob Dunn was into drugs and selling drugs too, though. That was a thing that was known.
Yep. But nobody did a thing about it.
No, he got away with it for a very long time. He was a prosecutor in Jefferson County for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it happens.
Yeah.
I wanted to back up. Sister Mother Superior had asked, back to Lori Vallow, wasn't there a hot minute there after Charles was shot, when Lori fled the scene with Tylee and JJ, as Alex called 911, then Alex shot Charles again, the kill shot? Maybe. I mean, unfortunately, everything we know about Charles's murder really goes back to what Lori and Tylee said, and Alex. Yeah. We don't know. We know that the timeline doesn't really match up. We know that
and it doesn't match up to the autopsy either.
No.
That he died sooner or earlier than what they're saying.
Than what they're saying, and that there was a pretty good scope of time between the time that he died and the time that Alex actually called 911. We also know that the 911 dispatcher was trying to talk him through doing CPR, and he claimed he was doing CPR, only there is absolutely no evidence when they got to the scene that they did do CPR. But there's also been a big question about the lack of blood on the crime scene. That for somebody who bled out on the floor in that house, there should have been way more blood than there was. So do we know? Maybe. That's the hard part, is that everything we know we're basing on the stories of Lori, Tylee, and Alex. And so we don't know, I think, at the end of the day.
And one of the shots was in Charles' back, and that bullet was embedded in the floor. So we know he was shot from behind. that
Mm-hmm.
they believe it to be the second shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's so hard to know because
Right. Right.
we
Is it
don't,
possible that he took a second shot after those guys left? Sure. Definitely.
it is.
Is it possible that this entire story is a bunch of bullshit and none of it happened the way they're claiming? Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge chance.
And that
of that.
Tylee was never present to even hear the shots.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things are very possible.
The other thing we didn't talk about, but I know you guys had mentioned in the chat, and I have the same response to it. She sent Tylee back in the house to get her wallet.
Yeah.
And then when she asked her, was Lori in the house or out of the house when you went back in for her wallet? She couldn't answer that question.
Yeah.
She thought on that one long and hard. She didn't know.
Yeah.
How would you not know?
Right.
Unless this
If
was...
you're just being sent in to just run in and out and leave,
Mhm.
wouldn't Lori have been in the car?
Right. But if you knew there was a murder happening in that house, you sent your teenage daughter back in?
Yeah.
None of it tracks.
Well, Lori would.
Yeah, Lori
Right.
would. That's true.
Right. But yeah, it doesn't. I'm not sure that any of that actually really happened. You know, it's just like the injury to the back of Alex's head that he said Charles did with a baseball bat.
Mm-hmm.
Charles would have knocked his block off with a baseball bat. We all know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was very minor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, this trial is going to be something. For
Oh
sure.
my God. It
Yeah.
is.
Yep. So that's what we've got. So it is Thursday. So we'll be back Monday night at 6 p.m. Mountain for another episode. And that's where we're at. So you guys, it's the weekend. Take good care of yourselves. Go touch grass or snow or whatever you got. And,
We've got snow.
yeah, get a deep breath of fresh air. Get some sunshine on your face if you can. Take care of yourselves. We're in a wild world right now, and I think that we need lots of reminders to seek out joy, seek out some fun things to do, seek out a creative project, do things that are good for you. Everyone, please, and we will too. And we'll be back on Monday, and that's what we have. So thanks you guys for being a part of the squad. We appreciate you immensely. This has been yet another production of the True Crime Squad.
Bye, everybody.
Season 6, we're back again. Kristi and Katie, your crime time friends. Stories, justice, laughs collide. True Crime Squad, come join the ride. Grab the clues, let's take a stand. For victims' voices, hand in hand. True Crime Squad, it's time to shine. Season 6, your turn, your time. True Crime Squad, where justice meets hilarity.